Tae-ho Kim wiped the grease from his hands and looked at the broken mining robot in front of him. Another day, another broken machine on Artemis 7 lunar station. He had been fixing things here for 3 years now. The pay was okay, but the work was boring. Every day was the same. Wake up, fix machines, eat, sleep, repeat. His wrist comm buzzed. A message from his sister, So Young, appeared on the small screen. Come to the family meeting room now. It's about Great Uncle Dongwu. Tae-ho sighed. Great Uncle Dongwu had died last week. The old man was always strange. He traveled to weird places and collected odd things. Nobody in the family really understood him. Most people thought he was crazy. But he was rich, so everyone was nice to him. Tae-ho walked through the station's metal corridors to the meeting room. The Kim family was already there. His cousin Jin-woo sat in the best chair, looking pleased with himself. His Aunt Mira was counting something on her tablet. His sister So Young waved at him from the corner. Ms. Hyjin Park, the family lawyer, stood at the front of the room. She wore an expensive black suit and carried a thick folder of papers. Her face was serious as she looked at everyone. Thank you all for coming, Ms. Park said. I will now read Great Uncle Dongwu's will. Everyone leaned forward. Tae-ho knew his family was thinking about money. Great Uncle Dongwu owned mining companies, shipping businesses, and properties on 3 different planets. There was a lot to give away. Ms. Park opened the folder and began to read. To my nephew Jin-woo Lee, I leave 3 mining rights on asteroid belt sector 7G. These are worth about 5 million credits. Jin-woo smiled and nodded. He had always been Great Uncle Dongwu's favorite, or so everyone thought. To my niece, Mira Kim, I leave my shipping company based on Mars. This includes 12 cargo ships and all related contracts. Aunt Mira clapped her hands together. She looked very happy. Ms. Park continued reading. More family members got money, property, or businesses. Everyone was getting something valuable. Everyone except Tae-ho. Finally, Ms. Park looked at Tae-ho. To my great-nephew Tae-ho Kim, I leave 1 cargo ship called the Wanderer. It is currently docked at Bay 94 on Artemis 7 station. The room became quiet. That was it? Just 1 old ship? Jin-woo started laughing. That piece of junk? I saw it when I arrived. It looks like it's 40 years old. The paint is falling off. Are you sure that's all? So, Young asked Ms. Park. Maybe. There's more? Ms. Park checked her papers again. No, that's everything for Tae-ho. Great Uncle Dongwu was very specific about who got what. Aunt Mira shook her head. Poor Tae-ho. Why would he give you such a worthless thing? Maybe the old man finally lost his mind completely, Jin-woo said, still laughing. A broken-down cargo ship, you could probably sell it for scrap and get maybe 10,000 credits. Tae-ho felt his face turn red. He was angry and embarrassed. Why had Great Uncle Dongwu given everyone else valuable things but left him with junk? It didn't make sense. After the meeting, So Young walked with Tae-ho toward the docking bays. I'm sorry, brother, this isn't fair. It's okay, Tae-ho lied. Maybe I can fix it up and use it somehow. You don't have to pretend with me, So Young said. I know you're upset. They reached docking bay 94. Through the thick glass window, they could see the Wanderer. Jin-woo was right. The ship looked terrible. It was a standard cargo hauler, the kind used for moving supplies between planets. The white paint was dirty and peeling. Some of the hull plates looked dented. It definitely looked old and worthless. I should probably just sell it, Tae-ho said. Wait, So Young said. Maybe you should look inside first. Great Uncle Dongwu was strange, but he wasn't stupid. Maybe there's something valuable in there. Tae-ho used his new access codes to enter the docking bay. The Wanderer was bigger up close, but it still looked like junk. He walked around it slowly, checking for damage. The hull was old but solid. The engines looked standard. Nothing special. He opened the cargo door and stepped inside. The ship smelled like oil and old metal. Everything was basic and functional. The cargo hold was empty except for some old supply boxes. The crew quarters had 4 small rooms with basic beds and storage. The bridge had outdated control panels and worn seats. This really is just an old cargo ship, Taeho muttered. But something felt wrong. As a mechanic, Taeho was good at understanding machines. He could feel when something wasn't working right. And this ship felt different somehow. He pulled out his scanner and checked the ship's mass readings. According to the scanner, the Wanderer weighed 12,000 tons. But when he looked at the size and checked standard specifications for this model of ship, it should only weigh 8,000 tons. Where was the extra weight coming from? Taeho walked through the ship again, this time more carefully. He measured the corridors and rooms. The numbers didn't add up. The ship was missing space. According to his measurements, there should be more room in the center section, but he couldn't find any doors or passages that led there. He crawled under the ship and studied the hull design. Most cargo ships were simple, just a big empty space for cargo, crew quarters, and an engine room. But the Wanderer had extra structures that didn't make sense. There were pipes and cables that seemed to go nowhere. As the station's lights dimmed for the night cycle, Taeho made a decision. Tomorrow, he would come back with better tools. Maybe Great-Uncle Dongwu hadn't left him junk after all. Maybe there was something hidden in this ship that nobody else could see. He locked the ship and walked back to his small apartment. For the first time since the will reading, he felt a little bit hopeful. Great-Uncle Dongwu had always been mysterious. Maybe his final mystery was just beginning. Taeho returned to the Wanderer early the next morning. He brought his best tools and a portable scanner that could see through metal walls. The docking bay was quiet. Most people were still sleeping or eating breakfast. He started his search in the engine room. The engines were old but well maintained. Someone had taken good care of this ship. But as Taeho crawled around the massive engine housing, he found what he was looking for. Behind the main power unit, hidden under a false panel, was a narrow maintenance tunnel. It was so small that Taeho had to crawl on his hands and knees to fit inside. The tunnel was dark and dusty. It looked like nobody had been in here for years. The tunnel led to a small hidden room in the center of the ship. Taeho's flashlight lit up the space. The room was only about 2 meters wide, but it was full of strange equipment. None of it looked human-made. In the center of the room sat a device unlike anything Taeho had ever seen. It was about the size of a book, made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols moved across its surface like living writing. When Taeho looked directly at the symbols, they seemed to change and shift. He reached out carefully and touched the crystal. It was warm and smooth. The moment his fingers made contact, the device began to glow brighter. Suddenly, a holographic image appeared in the air above the crystal. It was Great-Uncle Dongwu, but he looked younger and was wearing clothes Taeho had never seen before. "Hello, Taeho," the hologram said. "If you are seeing this message, then I am dead, and you have found my greatest secret." Taeho sat back, in shock. The hologram looked real, as if Great-Uncle Dongwu was standing right in front of him. "I know you are confused," the hologram continued. "Everyone thinks I was just a crazy old man who collected strange things, but that was never true. For the last 20 years, I've been working with an alien species called the Veltar." The hologram paused, and new images appeared. Taeho saw pictures of tall, thin aliens with silver skin and large black eyes. They looked peaceful and intelligent. "The Veltar have been watching humanity for a long time," Great-Uncle Dongwu explained. "They wanted to help us grow and learn, but there is another alien group called the Kethmori. They are very different from the Veltar." More images appeared. These aliens looked dangerous. They had dark skin covered in scales and red eyes that glowed like fire. They carried weapons and wore armor that looked designed for war. "The Kethmori think humans are dangerous," the hologram said. "They believe we will become too powerful if we spread across the galaxy. They have destroyed 12 other species that they thought were threats. Now they want to destroy us too." Taeho felt cold fear in his stomach. Aliens wanted to kill all humans? This sounded like something from a crazy science fiction movie. "The crystal you are holding is a key," Great-Uncle Dongwu continued. "It will open a vault on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Inside that vault is everything humanity needs to defend itself. Technology, weapons, and most importantly, knowledge about why humans are special. The hologram pointed directly at Taeho. You must go to Europa and open the vault. But be careful. The Keth Mori are watching. They know about the vault, and they will try to stop you. New information appeared in the air. Star maps, coordinates, and technical specifications that Taeho didn't understand. The Wanderer is not just a cargo ship, Great Uncle Dongwu said. It is a hybrid vessel built with both human and Veltar technology. The crystal will activate its hidden systems. But you cannot do this alone. You will need help from people you trust. The hologram began to fade. I am sorry I could not tell you this while I was alive. It was too dangerous. The Keth Mori have spies everywhere, even on Earth and the moon stations. Trust no one in the government or military until you know who they really work for. Wait! Taeho shouted. But the hologram was already gone. Taeho sat in the small room holding the crystal and trying to process what he had just learned. Aliens were real. Some wanted to help humans, others wanted to kill them all, and somehow his weird great-uncle had been involved in some kind of secret. Or he looked at the crystal again. The blue light pulsed like a heartbeat. As he held it, he could feel something changing in the ship around him. Panels that had looked dead and broken were starting to glow with soft light. He heard new sounds from the engines like they were waking up after a long sleep. Taeho crawled back through the tunnel to the main part of the ship. Everything looked different now. Displays that had been dark were showing information in languages he couldn't read. The control panels had new buttons and screens that definitely weren't there before. He sat in the pilot's chair and stared at all the new technology. This was too big for him to handle alone. He needed help. But who could he trust? Great Uncle. Dongwu had warned him about government spies. Taeho thought about his friends on the station. There was Haewon Choi, who worked in the navigation department. She was smart and good with computers. She also asked a lot of questions about alien artifacts that sometimes showed up in salvage. Maybe she would believe him. There was also Dr. Minho Park, who worked in the science section. He studied strange materials that mining ships sometimes brought back. Taeho had seen him looking at things that definitely didn't seem to come from any human world. Both of them were curious about things beyond normal human technology. Maybe they would help him, or maybe they would think he was crazy. Taeho made his decision. He would talk to Haewon first. She had always been his friend, even when they were children growing up on Earth. If anyone would believe him, it would be her. He locked the ship and hid the crystal in his tool bag. As he walked back to his quarters, he didn't notice the security camera that had been watching the docking bay. And he didn't see the person who had been monitoring that camera, taking notes about his activities. The secret was out. But Taeho didn't know yet that he wasn't the only one looking for Great Uncle Dongwu's hidden technology. Taeho found Haewon in the station's navigation center. She was working late, studying star charts on multiple screens. Her long black hair was tied back, and she looked tired but focused. Haewon, I need to talk to you about something important, Taeho said quietly. She looked up from her work. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Maybe I have, Taeho said. Can we go somewhere private? Haewon saved her work and led him to a small break room. When they were alone, Taeho pulled out the crystal. It still glowed with soft blue light. Where did you get that? Haewon asked, her eyes wide. That's definitely not human technology. Taeho told her everything, about the hidden room in the Wanderer, the holographic message from Great Uncle Dongwu, and the aliens who wanted to destroy humanity. When he finished, Haewon was quiet for a long time. This sounds crazy, she finally said. But I've been tracking strange signals from deep space for months, signals that don't match any known human technology. My supervisors told me to ignore them. Will you help me? Taeho asked. Haewon nodded slowly. If aliens really are planning to attack us, then someone needs to do something about it. But we'll need more help. What about Dr. Minho Park? He knows more about alien materials than anyone on this station. They found Dr. Park in his laboratory, examining a strange metal sample under a powerful microscope. He was a thin man with thick glasses and careful hands. When Tae-ho showed him the crystal, Dr. Park nearly dropped his equipment. Incredible, Dr. Park whispered. The molecular structure is unlike anything in our periodic table. This is definitely alien-made. After hearing the full story, Dr. Park became very excited. I've been studying fragments of alien technology for years. Most of it comes from crashed ships or abandoned equipment. But this is the first working device I've ever seen. So you'll help us? Tae-ho asked. Of course, Dr. Park said. This could be the most important discovery in human history. The three friends spent the next 2 days preparing for their journey to Europa. Haewon calculated the flight path and studied Jupiter's orbital patterns. Dr. Park gathered equipment for analyzing alien technology. Tae-ho worked on understanding the Wanderer's new systems. The ship was amazing once its hidden technology came online. The engines were 3 times more powerful than they should be. The navigation system could plot courses through space in ways that human technology couldn't match. The hull was much stronger than it looked, but they weren't the only ones interested in the Wanderer. Commander Yeon-soo Kang had been watching them from the security center. She was head of military intelligence for the lunar stations. Her job was to watch for threats to human colonies. And 3 people secretly preparing an alien ship looked very much like a threat. Commander Kang was a careful woman who had spent 15 years protecting human interests. She had heard rumors about alien artifacts and strange signals from deep space. Her orders were to investigate any unusual activity and report it to Earth Command. She decided to confront them directly. "Going somewhere, Mr. Kim?" Commander Kang asked as she entered Docking Bay 94. She wore her military uniform and brought 2 security officers with her. Tae-ho, Haewon, and Dr. Park were loading supplies onto the Wanderer. They stopped working and looked at the commander, nervously. "Just taking my inheritance for a test flight," Tae-ho said. "With enough supplies for a month-long journey?" Commander Kang looked at their equipment. "And why does your ship now have energy readings that are impossible for a standard cargo hauler?" Before anyone could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red. The station's voice system crackled to life. "All personnel report to emergency stations. Unknown ships detected approaching from deep space. This is not a drill." Commander Kang pressed her communication device. "Control, this is Kang. What's our situation?" "Commander, we have 5 ships coming in fast from the asteroid belt. They're not responding to our signals and their design doesn't match any known human vessels." Through the docking bay windows, they could see small lights moving against the stars. The lights were getting bigger, which meant the ships were getting closer. "Those are Keth Mori scout ships," Dr. Park said, looking at his scanner. "The energy signatures match what Great Uncle Dongwoo's message described." Commander Kang stared at him. "What are you talking about?" The crystal in Tae-ho's pocket began glowing brighter. The Wanderer systems automatically came online. New displays lit up showing the approaching alien ships and their weapons. "We don't have time to explain," Haewon said. "But those ships are here to kill us. All of us." The first alien ship fired at the station. Energy beams hit the outer hull, causing explosions that shook the entire structure. More alarms began ringing. "We have to leave now," Tae-ho said. "The Wanderer can protect us, but not if we're sitting here." Commander Kang had to make a quick decision. Her training told her not to trust civilians with alien technology, but her instincts told her that these 3 people might be humanity's only hope. "Everyone on the ship," she ordered her security officers. "If we're going to die, at least we'll learn something first." They all rushed aboard the Wanderer. Tae-ho ran to the pilot's seat while Haewon took navigation. Dr. Park and Commander Kang strapped themselves into passenger seats. "Do you know how to fly this thing?" Commander Kang asked. "I'm about to find out," Tae-ho said. The ship's systems seemed to respond to his thoughts. When he wanted to lift off, the engines powered up automatically. When he thought about avoiding the alien weapons, the ship began moving in ways that should have been impossible. They launched from the docking bay just as another energy beam destroyed the section where they had been standing. The Wanderer moved through space like a living thing, dodging enemy fire and accelerating toward open space. "How are you doing that?" Haewon asked. You're flying better than pilots with 20 years of experience. I don't know, Teho admitted. The ship seems to know what I want it to do. Behind them, the Kethmori ships were following. But the Wanderer was faster and more maneuverable. Within minutes, they had left the alien ships far behind. Setting course for Europa, Haywan announced. Travel time at current speed will be 6 days. Commander Kang contacted her superiors and reported the attack on Artemis 7. Earth Command was shocked to learn that hostile aliens had attacked a human installation. They ordered her to gather as much information as possible about the alien threat. As they traveled through space toward Jupiter, Teho realized that there was no going back. They were committed now to whatever they would find in Great Uncle Dongwu's vault. The future of humanity might depend on what they discovered there. Europa appeared on their screens like a giant white marble. The moon's surface was covered in ice that stretched for thousands of kilometers. From space, it looked completely empty and lifeless. Are you sure this is the right place? Commander Kang asked. I don't see any structures down there. Teho held up the crystal key. It was glowing much brighter now, and the symbols on its surface were moving faster. The crystal says we're in the right place. Haywan guided the Wanderer into orbit around Europa. According to the coordinates from Great Uncle Dongwu's message, they needed to land in a specific area near the moon's equator. Scanners show solid ice down to at least 5 kilometers, Dr. Park reported. But there are some strange energy readings coming from deep underground. They landed on a flat area of ice. The surface was smooth and white, broken only by long cracks that stretched to the horizon. It was beautiful but completely empty. Now what? Commander Kang asked. Teho stepped outside wearing a protective suit. Europa's atmosphere was thin and poisonous to humans. He held the crystal key up toward the sky, not sure what he was supposed to do. The crystal suddenly blazed with bright blue light. A beam shot down from it into the ice at his feet. The beam was so bright that everyone had to look away. When the light faded, the ice had completely melted in a perfect circle about 10 meters wide. Below the ice was a shaft that led straight down into darkness. Well, that's not natural, Commander Kang said. They rappelled down the shaft using ropes and climbing gear. The walls were made of the same strange crystal material as the key. After descending for almost a kilometer, they reached the bottom. They found themselves in a huge underground chamber carved out of the ice. The chamber was filled with equipment and technology that was clearly not human-made. Soft lights came on automatically as they entered. In the center of the chamber stood a tall alien figure in what looked like a stasis pod. The figure had silver skin and large black eyes, just like in Great Uncle Dongwu's holographic message. That's a Veltar, Dr. Park said, reading from his scanner. It's alive, but in some kind of suspended animation. Teho approached the stasis pod with the crystal key. When he got close, the pod opened with a soft hiss. The alien inside took a deep breath and opened its eyes. The Veltar looked at each of them carefully, then spoke in perfect human language. I am Ambassador Kethlin. I have been waiting for one of Dongwu's family to arrive. You speak our language, Haywan said, amazed. We have been studying your species for many years, Kethlin replied. Dongwu taught us much about human culture and thinking. The ambassador led them deeper into the facility. The chambers were filled with technology that made human science look primitive. There were computers that seemed to think for themselves, energy sources that produced unlimited power, and weapons that could destroy entire spaceships. This facility was built as a joint project between humans and Veltar, Kethlin explained. Dongwu helped us understand your species while we prepared defenses against the Kethmori. They entered a large room filled with data storage devices. Holographic displays showed star maps, battle plans, and detailed information about Kethmori, military forces. The Kethmori have destroyed 12 intelligent species, Kethlin said. Each time they use the same strategy. First, they study the target species and identify their weaknesses. Then they use mind control technology to turn the species against itself. Finally, they invade with overwhelming force. Mind control? Commander Kang asked. The Kethmori can project thoughts and emotions directly into most minds, the ambassador explained. They used this ability to make other species fight among themselves instead of defending against invasion. Dr. Park was studying the technical data on the displays. But humans are different somehow. Kethlin's large black eyes seemed to sparkle with something like amusement. Very different. Human brains have a unique neural structure that makes you completely immune to Kethmori mind control. In fact, when humans use our amplification technology, you can turn their own mental weapons back against them. That's why they want to destroy us, Tejo realized. We're the only species that can fight back. Exactly, Kethlin confirmed. The Kethmori are coming in force. Our intelligence suggests they will attack Earth within 6 months. Humanity must be prepared. The ambassador showed them blueprints for defensive technologies that could protect human colonies. There were shield generators that could stop enemy weapons, communication systems that couldn't be jammed, and hybrid ships like the Wanderer that combined human intuition with Veltar technology. The most important thing is this, Kethlin said, pointing to a complex device at the center of the room. This is a neural amplifier designed specifically for human minds. When connected to our defensive networks, a human operator can coordinate the defense of an entire planet. Commander Kang was taking notes on everything she saw. We need to get this information back to Earth Command immediately. Unfortunately, that may not be possible, Kethlin said. Our sensors detect Kethmori ships in orbit above Europa. They followed you here. Alarms began ringing throughout the facility. The displays showed 15 large enemy ships surrounding the moon. They were much bigger than the scout ships that had attacked Artemis 7. They're jamming all communications, Heywan reported from her portable scanner. We can't contact Earth. They're also charging weapons, Dr. Park added. It looks like they're planning to destroy this entire facility. Can we escape in the Wanderer? Tejo asked. Kethlin shook his head. There are too many enemy ships. They would destroy you before you could reach open space. Commander Kang studied the tactical displays. What about the facility's defenses? This place must have some way to protect itself. Yes, but they require a human operator, Kethlin said. The neural amplifier must be connected to a human mind to function properly. It was designed to work specifically with your species' unique mental patterns. I'll do it, Tejo said immediately. Wait, Commander Kang said. You don't understand military tactics. Let me operate the system. The neural amplifier bonds with the first human mind it connects to, Kethlin warned. The choice cannot be changed once the connection is made. And there are risks. The human nervous system was not designed to handle this much information flow. Above them, the Kethmori ships began their attack. Energy beams struck the ice surface, sending vibrations through the entire facility. Lights flickered as the power systems strained to maintain the shields. We don't have time to debate this, Heywan said. Someone needs to make a decision now. Tejo looked at his friends and the alien ambassador who had become humanity's ally. He thought about his family on the lunar station and all the human colonies that would be destroyed if the Kethmori weren't stopped. I'm ready, he said, walking toward the neural amplifier. The device looked like a helmet made of the same crystal material as his key. When Tejo put it on, his mind suddenly expanded to encompass the entire facility and everything around it. He could feel the enemy ships, their weapons, and their intentions. But more importantly, he could feel the vast defensive network that Great Uncle Dongwu and the Veltar had built together. For the first time since this adventure began, Tejo smiled. The Kethmori had made a mistake by coming here. They were about to learn why humans were different from every other species they had encountered. When Tejo connected to the neural amplifier, his consciousness exploded across space. He could suddenly perceive everything within 1,000 kilometers of Europa. The 15 Kethmori ships felt like angry red flames in his mind. Their weapons, charged with deadly energy, preparing to destroy the facility. But Tejo also felt something else. Hidden beneath Europa's ice were defensive systems that had been waiting for 20 years. Weapons that combined Veltar technology with human tactical thinking. Shield generators that could protect the entire moon. And most importantly, a network of communication devices that could reach every human colony in the solar system. I can see everything, Tejo said, his voice strange and distant. The Kethamori have 40 more ships hiding behind Jupiter. This is just the advance force. Commander Kang studied the tactical displays. Can the facility's defenses handle 15 ships? Let's find out, Tejo replied. He activated the defensive systems with a thought. Hidden weapons platforms rose from beneath the ice all across Europa's surface. Energy shields surrounded the facility like a protective bubble. Most importantly, the communication array began broadcasting a message toward Earth. This is Taiho Kim calling all human forces, his amplified voice carried across space. We are under attack by hostile aliens called the Kethmori. Repeat, Earth is in danger. All military forces respond immediately. The Kethmori ships fired their weapons at the facility. Massive energy beams struck the shields, causing them to flare with bright light. But the shields held. The ancient Veltar technology was stronger than the enemy weapons. Impossible, came a voice from the enemy ships. The Kethmori commander was speaking in broken human language. Humans should not have such defenses. Surprise, Tejo muttered, and fired back. The hidden weapons platforms launched energy bolts that moved faster than light itself. 3 Kethmori ships exploded immediately. The remaining ships scattered, trying to avoid the devastating counterattack. But the real battle was happening in space above Europa. HFY had taken the Wanderer up to face the enemy ships directly. With the neural amplifier connecting Tejo to the ship's systems, she could pilot it in ways that seemed impossible. This is incredible, HFY said as the ship danced between enemy weapons. It's like the ship knows what I'm thinking before I think it. Human intuition plus Veltar technology, Dr. Park observed. No wonder the Kethmori are afraid of us. The Wanderer moved through space like a living thing. When HFY wanted to dodge left, the ship was already turning. When she thought about attacking, the weapons fired automatically. The combination of human instinct and alien technology was devastating. Within minutes, HFY had destroyed 5 more enemy ships. The remaining Kethmori vessels were retreating toward Jupiter, but Tejo could sense the larger fleet moving to intercept them. 40 ships coming our way, he announced. They'll be here in 10 minutes. Can we handle that many? Commander Kang asked. Before Tejo could answer, new signals appeared on the communication array. Human ships were responding to his distress call. The Earth Defense Fleet was moving at maximum speed toward Jupiter. Mars Command was launching every available fighter. Even the mining stations were sending armed ships to help. Humanity is coming, Tejo said, but they won't get here in time to stop the main attack. Ambassador Kethlin was working at a control station. There is another option. The neural amplifier can do more than just control defensive systems. It can project human thoughts across space. What do you mean? Commander Kang asked. The Kethmori use mind control as their primary weapon, the ambassador explained. But humans are immune to their mental attacks. With the amplifier, Tejo could turn that immunity into a weapon. Tejo understood immediately. I could use their own mind control technology against them. Exactly. But the strain on your nervous system would be enormous. No human has ever tried to project thoughts across such a distance. The 40 Kethmori. Ships came out from behind Jupiter like a swarm of angry insects. They were much larger than the scout ships, with weapons that could crack a planet in half. Their mind control transmitters were already broadcasting, trying to confuse and terrify the human ships that were racing to help. Do it, Tejo said. He opened his mind completely to the neural amplifier. Pain shot through his skull like lightning, but he pushed through it. His consciousness expanded again, this time reaching all the way to the enemy fleet. The Kethmori were projecting fear and confusion toward the approaching human ships. But when Tejo's mind touched theirs, something unexpected happened. The alien minds recoiled in shock. They had never encountered a species that was completely immune to mental manipulation. Tejo pushed harder, sending human thoughts and emotions directly into the Kethmori fleet. He projected human determination, creativity, and most importantly, the human refusal to give up when facing impossible odds. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Kethmori ships began firing at each other. Their tight formation fell apart as pilots became confused and disoriented. Ships that had been coordinating perfectly suddenly couldn't work together. "It's working," Dr. Park said, watching the enemy fleet tear itself apart. "They're completely lost without their mind control advantage." But the effort was destroying Tejo. Blood ran from his nose and his hands shook uncontrollably. The neural amplifier was forcing his brain to process more information than any human mind was designed to handle. "Tejo, stop," Heywan shouted, from the Wanderer. "You're going to kill yourself." "Not yet," Tejo gasped. "The Earth fleet is almost here." Human ships began arriving from all directions. Earth Defense Force battleships, Mars patrol fighters, mining ships converted into combat vessels, and civilian transports carrying volunteer fighters. They fell upon the confused Kethmori fleet like wolves attacking scattered sheep. The battle was short and decisive. Human ships, coordinated by Taiho's amplified consciousness and driven by the knowledge that their entire species was at stake, fought with a fury that the Kethmori had never encountered before. Within an hour, the entire enemy fleet was destroyed. Taiho finally disconnected from the neural amplifier and collapsed. Dr. Park rushed to check his vital signs while Heywan landed the Wanderer and ran to his side. "Is he okay?" she asked frantically. "He's alive," Dr. Park said, "but he needs medical attention immediately." Ambassador Kethlin knelt beside Tejo. "You have done something remarkable today. You have proven that humans and Veltar working together can defeat any enemy. Commander Kang was already coordinating with the arriving Earth forces. We need to get this technology back to Earth immediately. If there are more Kethmori fleets out there, we have to be ready." Over the next few days, as Tejo recovered in the facility's medical bay, the full scope of what they had accomplished became clear. The battle at Europa had been broadcast across human space. Every colony now knew that aliens existed, and that humans had the ability to fight back against even the most advanced enemies. "What happens now?" Tejo asked Ambassador Kethlin. "Now we prepare," the Veltar replied. "The Kethmori will send more fleets. But they have learned that humans are not like other species. You do not break when faced with impossible odds. You adapt and fight back." Taiho looked out through the facility's observation windows at the human fleet orbiting Europa. Ships from every human world had come to answer his call. Earth Defense Force battleships worked alongside converted mining vessels. Military officers shared technology with civilian engineers. "Great Uncle Dongwu was right," Tejo said. "His real gift wasn't the ship or the technology. It was the responsibility to protect humanity." He thought about his family back on Artemis 7. His cousin Jin Woo, who had laughed at his worthless inheritance. His sister So Young, who had always believed in him. They were all safe now because a few people had been willing to trust each other when everything seemed impossible. "So what's next?" Haiwan asked, joining him at the observation window. Tejo smiled. "We build more ships like the Wanderer. We train more humans to use Veltar technology. And we make sure that when the Kethmori come back, they'll find humanity ready for them." Ambassador Kethlin nodded approvingly. "The galaxy has been waiting for a species like yours for a very long time. Perhaps now the age of Kethmori expansion is finally over." As Tejo watched the mixed fleet of human and Veltar ships preparing for the journey back to Earth, he realized that Great Uncle Dongwu's final lesson was just beginning. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, and there would be no turning back. The stars were calling, and humanity was finally ready to answer.